What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie here, back with a brand new tier list video. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO. And of course, you already know the grind is real. And it is Wrestlemania 41 week. So I do want to remind you guys, if you are looking for somebody to watch Wrestlemania 41 with, We Are Wrestling will be doing back-to-back live watch-alongs both Saturday and Sunday night. So if you are looking for somebody to watch the biggest event of the year, we'll be doing a live stream. And this Wednesday on the We Are Wrestling podcast, we'll be giving our WrestleMania 41 predictions for both nights. As of right now, it's going to be myself, Ben, Danny, and Phil, all four of the We Are Wrestling team, all together for the predictions. And if you guys want to be a part of that, we'll be doing it live. We do live episodes of the We Are Wrestling podcast every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Wednesday, we're going to be doing WrestleMania 41 predictions, so I hope you guys can be a part of that with us. So, with that being said, today we are going to be ranking every WrestleMania main event match from WrestleMania 1 all the way to WrestleMania 40. And just a couple disclaimers before we get into it. First off, my wrestling fandom really began in the mid-90s. So when it comes to like WrestleMania 1 to 8, I'm probably not going to be giving it the highest rating because I started really getting into WrestleMania starting at WrestleMania 9. So a lot of my memories is based off of that. So I just want to put that out there. And this is my ranking, this is my opinion, and we all see wrestling through a different lens, and I would love to know what you guys think and down in the comment section below when it comes to your favorite WrestleMania main event matches. Originally, this was supposed to be a John Cena tier list, but then I realized I already did that last year or the year before, so today we are going to go with WrestleMania main event. So, with that being said, let's get into it. And the way that we're doing this here, we have a tier list with 5 different tiers. The highest tier a WrestleMania main event match can get is legendary, very good, solid, alright, or real bad. And I'm sure we will have some of those. And if you guys want more tier list videos like this, make sure to smash that like button now. Starting things off with WrestleMania 1. The main event match was a tag team match. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with Superfly Jimmy Snuka in their corner faced off against Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful with Cowboy Bob Orton in their corner. What a weird first WrestleMania main event, but I know the reason behind it was so that they can get mainstream exposure, because for WrestleMania 1, we hear it in all the WWE documentaries, it was go big or go home, and Vince McMahon put all his cards on the table, and it ended up paying off because now we are at WrestleMania 41. And WrestleMania is the Super Bowl for professional wrestling, sports entertainment. And this match here wasn't anything special, but it definitely put wrestling on the map. So that is why I'm going to have to give it a solid grade, which I think is not bad because, like I said, when it comes to WrestleMania 1 to 8, I don't really have the hottest memory because I started to really get into professional wrestling around like WrestleMania 9, which I did grow up in the Attitude Era, but my mom and we would always go to Blockbuster as I was a kid growing up, and I used to rent out the VHS, and that's kind of how I got into like the new gen era with WrestleMania 9, 10, 11, 12, before I really had like my fandom begin. But with WrestleMania 1, I think the main event definitely solid. Moving on now to the next main event match, WrestleMania 2, inside the steel cage, Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. And like I remember as a kid getting the Jakks Classic Superstars steel cage with King Kong and Hulk Hogan. And this match, from what I hear, wasn't anything special, but it was cool to have that steel cage at WrestleMania 2. And with this match here, I think I'm going to rate it all right. Because, like I said, I probably watched that main event match maybe one time in my life, and I never watched it again. So I can't really say it was real bad. And I don't think I could say like any of the matches like up to 9 are real bad, because I feel like that would just be a biased take. But WrestleMania 2, Steel Cage, Hulk Hogan looks strong in that. Moving on now to WrestleMania 3, one of the biggest main events in WrestleMania history, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And this was a WrestleMania main event because at this point, Andre the Giant, I believe, was undefeated for, I think, like 10 to 15 years. I could be wrong with the years, but this was built as a big match because Andre and Hulk Hogan, they were good friends. And this is where Bobby the Brain Heenan kind of got into Andre's head, and Andre the Giant wanted Hulk Hogan's championship. I did watch plenty of documentaries on this, and this was one of the most iconic moments when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. It still is being played to this day in all the WWE intros. And for that, I have to give it a solid grade. I can't put all right or very good because this is a match that I wasn't there in real time, but I know that this was a big deal during this time. And this WrestleMania was one of the biggest crowds during this time. And I think Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant really took the WWF to the next level with this feud. And they got a lot of mainstream attention. And for that, like, I have to go with all right because Hulk Hogan and Andre, man, that slam by itself is what gives it that solid rating. Moving on now to WrestleMania 4, and this was pretty much like a whole tournament to determine a new WWF champion. And in the finals, it was the Macho Man versus Ted DiBiase. And this is where Macho Man actually won his very first WWF World Championship. And this was a whole tournament throughout the entire night to determine a new WWF champion. So with this here, Macho Man winning the first championship, I loved $1 Million Man. I am a little biased there because I always loved the character. So I'm going to have to go with solid here. I think I'm going to give it a solid, which all this can change throughout the end, but I have to give it solid because this was a special moment for the Macho Man winning his first championship. And with $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, he was one of my favorite characters during the late 80s, early 90s. I wish that Ted DiBiase friggin' actually had a decent title run. That would have been pretty cool. But now let's get into WrestleMania 5 main event, which was the Mega Powers Macho Man defending his championship against Hulk Hogan. And this storyline, I've watched documentaries on it, and we all know Macho Man and Hulk Hogan never really liked each other after all of this. And this was a WrestleMania main event match, and they had pretty much a whole year to build this storyline with the Mega Powers being a tag team, and then Macho Man getting jealous because Hulk Hogan and Miss Elizabeth got close. And this one here, I'm going to have to go with solid. And the reason I'm going to have to go with solid here is because Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, like, this was a big match for its time. And one thing that I definitely am basing some of my grades off of is storylines. Because for me, a WrestleMania main event, you need to have the story to back up the match. And with this year, like, they had a whole year build, and the storyline was flawless. And still to this day, there's things from that Hulk Hogan Macho Man storyline that we see in storylines, whether that's in WWE or AEW, because that was the first time ever in sports entertainment, professional wrestling, where there was like a love triangle. And we've seen so many of those throughout the years. And it all started with Miss Elizabeth, Macho Man, and Hulk Hogan that I know of. So I have to give that a solid, because the names Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, that feels like a WrestleMania main event. And I'm sure during that time, that is how people felt. Moving on now to the next match we have here on the card, WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, champion versus champion, Intercontinental and WWF World Championship on the line. And this is where Ultimate Warrior had his defining moment. This is WWE tried to pass the torch over by having Hogan put over Warrior. And this had a lot of big feels to it. I have watched this match several times, and the only thing that was really interesting was like that WrestleMania moment. But because of the names, I have to put them in the solid, because at the end of the day, when it comes to WrestleMania, you want to have your larger than life characters showcasing the immortals. And during this time, there was nobody bigger than the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. And the only reason I know that is because I used to have a podcast here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, Old School versus New School, which, by the way, if you guys want that podcast to come back, let me know down in the comment section below, because I do miss recording Old School versus New School, kind of where I learned a lot of the history here. But Ultimate Warrior and Hogan, because of the moment, because of the two larger-than-life characters, they have to be solid. I think if the match was better, I probably would put it above a tier, but I can't. I got to put it at solid. Moving on now to WrestleMania 7. We had, for the WWF Championship, Sergeant Slaughter defending the title against Hulk Hogan. And this is where Sergeant Slaughter turned out on all the Americans and aligned himself with the Iron Sheik, who is one of Hulk Hogan's biggest rivals in the 80s. And Hulk Hogan, like, this had, oh my God, like the story, man, like I miss this about old school wrestling. Like, these main events felt like main events. And like, I do remember watching this match. I do remember watching the build up to this. And man, Sergeant Slaughter as a heel was so underrated during the time. And Hulk Hogan pretty much trying to save America here by getting the championship back. Like, this was one of the first times that they really did like go with the whole like American. Well, no, because it all started with Iron Sheik and stuff, and Nikolai's Volkov. Can't forget them. But with this match here with Sergeant versus Hulk Hogan, I'm gonna have to put it in solid for now. And I'm sure I'm gonna be going through all these and changing, because I can't have everything be solid. But with Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan, like the story, I'm gonna go all right on this one. I changed my mind here. But I will put it over Hulk Hogan and King Kong. And the only reason I have to put all right here, because the match didn't really deliver, but the storyline was there, which I got to give credit to Sergeant Slaughter, because I thought he was a very underrated heel during this time. Moving on now to WrestleMania 8. The main event was Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice. And I know there's a lot of people that didn't really care for this main event, because at the time, WWF was going into like a transition, focusing on newer talent. And for this match here, I'm just going to put all right, because I'm going to be honest, I have not watched this match at all. I'm sure it was real bad from some of the things I've heard from old school fans, but I'm just going to put all right, because I don't really know too much about it. And Sid Justice didn't really do anything after this. I believe he left and then went over to WCW for a little while, and then came back to WWF like around like 96, 97 as Psycho Sid, which I think was a way better run than the whole Sid Justice thing. But yeah, that match doesn't feel like a WrestleMania main event to me. But now we're gonna get into more of the matches that I'm familiar with. And WrestleMania 9, to me, one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. I don't know why you guys freaking hate it. Because for me, I always loved WrestleMania 9 because, like, the brand, like, WrestleMania. And, like, it was just so different from, like, all the old ones, 1 to 8. Like, it still stands out to this day. Even got a whole documentary now on the network, which I plan on doing a review video for maybe this week on WrestleMania week. But WrestleMania 9 main event, Yokozuna versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF Championship. And my God, I freaking loved WrestleMania 9, but I didn't like what happened at the end with Hulk Hogan. But like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I thought that, like, between Bret and Yoko without Hogan, very good. But because of Hulk Hogan interfering, I got to go solid. And the reason I have to go solid is because of Hulk Hogan's involvement at the end here. That is why I had to contemplate between very good and solid, because I thought Bret and Yoko delivered during the main event, but that ending, man, like, I have to consider the ending. And the ending ruined it for not just me, but a lot of people that were outside of Las Vegas that night. But man, I thought the Bret and Yoko match was very good. But moving on now to the next match we have here for the WWF Championship. Yokozuna defending the title against Bret Hart. And the cool thing about this WrestleMania 10 in Madison Square Garden was Yokozuna had to defend the championship twice in one night. Because in the 1994 Royal Rumble, Lex and Bret actually got eliminated at the same time. So then they had to do a whole coin toss. Lex Luger, I believe, won the coin toss, and then he was able to face Yokozuna pretty much in the middle of the night, and then whoever won that had to go against Bret Hart at the end of the night. But Bret Hart also had to work another match with his brother Owen, which was one of the greatest opening matches in WrestleMania history. But getting into the main event here with Bret and Yoko, I don't know what it was. I always enjoyed a Bret Hart versus Yokozuna match. And for that, I do think that the WrestleMania 10 match, especially with the ending and everything, I'm going to go very good. And I know some people might think I'm crazy because around the time Yokozuna started to gain a lot more weight, he was working a little slower. But I thought, like, the ending just felt right because Bret Hart, he got screwed at WrestleMania 9, and then they built this all the way up to 10. And I think that this is where Bret Hart really became one of those confident world champions. And this is when Bret Hart knew that he was a main event guy. And I just love the ending with all the baby faces coming out. And then you have Owen right at the tunnel looking at Bret. And then there you go. You have your next program for the summer because Owen defeated Bret in the opening, like the opening of the night. So, like, they had it all set there. And I just thought it was a great ending to 10. But moving on now to WrestleMania 11. The main event match was Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. And this was the first time, I believe, two non-WWE champions got to main event WrestleMania. And this was a big deal at the time because obviously with WrestleMania, mainstream is a huge thing when it comes to it. And they built this whole storyline around Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow. And this was a big deal at the time. I know Bam Bam Bigelow was a part of Money Incorporated, Ted DiBiase's group. And Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam, they actually didn't put on a bad match at all. And I believe this was the only time Lawrence Taylor ever stepped foot in the ring. But yeah, it definitely could have been a lot better. So I'm gonna have to go with all right here. I think that they did a great job with the build-up, but I think that there was better options for like a main event match at WrestleMania like 11. There was definitely some better choices that they could have decided on. But Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor, like, they had the draw because Lawrence Taylor at the time was a huge deal because he was a two-time Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants. So it makes sense why they did it, but I don't know. I felt like there was definitely some better guys during that time that they could have put in that position, which is why I have to put it as all right. Moving on now to WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. And this is obvious. This match was absolutely legendary at the time. Bret and Shawn, they went over the hour, and this is when they were building Shawn Michaels up as a main event guy, and he was the underdog in this. And I thought Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels always put on such classics. And maybe that was because they both never really liked each other, especially around like 97. But this match here was a instant classic. Shawn Michaels coming out like from the rafters, and then him and Bret Hart freaking staring down and then just putting on such a classic match. Because at the time, like, it was two average sized guys. It wasn't these Hulk Hogan's and Macho Mans and Ultimate Warriors. This was Bret the Hitman Hart and HBK Shawn Michaels, two of the smaller guys that for most of their career, they had to be tag team specialists and mid-card talent. So the fact that they were able to get a main event match and showcase like why size sometimes doesn't really matter, it was a huge moment. And I thought that they easily had one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. Moving on now to the next match we have here on the card, WrestleMania 13. The main event was Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. And I don't know, I felt like Bret Hart versus Stone Cold, that should have been the main event of 13 because that was just such a legendary match, which is actually getting nominated in the WWE Hall of Fame for Immortal Moments, which is a new thing that they're doing. That should have been the main event. And yeah, Undertaker, he did win the WWF Championship, I believe for the second time in his career during this. So for that, man, I don't know. Like him and Sid, it was solid. It was a solid match. Yeah, no, it was a solid match. Undertaker and him, they did work a solid match, but I can't put the match at very good because, like, I don't know, like, Stone Cold was just becoming a big, larger than life superstar at this time. Bret Hart was already a big superstar at this time. And like they put on one of the most iconic matches like in all of WrestleMania. If that was the case, man, that could have been that could have been in the legendary tier. But moving on now to WrestleMania 14, one of my other favorite WrestleManias of all time for the WWF Championship, Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold. And Iron Mike Tyson was a huge part in this. And Shawn Michaels at the time was dealing with a really bad back injury that he sustained at the Royal Rumble when Undertaker flipped him over the casket and he hit his back on the back of the casket there. So with this match here, it had that WrestleMania build. It's unfortunate that Shawn Michaels wasn't 100% healthy, but this was the start of the Stone Cold era, man. Austin 316, because this is where he won his very first WWF championship. But man, if Shawn Michaels was on his A game like WrestleMania 12, I would say this is, oh man, but they had the iconic moments. Like, I love the entrance for Shawn Michaels, like having Jim Johnson, like doing the whole DX theme, man. Like, and then Mike Tyson punching Shawn, Stone Cold hitting the stunner. Like, it was legendary, but I have to go very good here. Even though, like, the match definitely could have been a lot better because Michaels wasn't 100% here, but just the WrestleMania is about the moments. It's about the larger than life characters. And Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels were like, they were the best of the best during this time in 98. And this, like, Shawn Michaels putting over Stone Cold really started the new era in the Attitude Era. So, like, I have to go with that. Man, if Shawn Michaels was on his A game, like, this really could have been a legendary match. Probably is. I don't know. But moving on now to WrestleMania 15, and that main event was The Rock versus Stone Cold. And this is one of their first of many iconic WrestleMania matches. And The Rock and Stone Cold always delivered, two of the biggest stars during this time. But yeah, you already know which one was better. This year, though, I will say was a very good match overall. The Rock and Stone Cold always had great chemistry. And in 1999, they were the best during the time. So giving them the main event spot, I thought was the right call here. And they always put on a solid match. But you already know which one's legendary. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But now, getting into WrestleMania 2000, WrestleMania 16, the main event was a fatal four-way match for the WWF Championship. And each wrestler had a McMahon in their corner, which it was a fatal four-way match. Triple H defending the WWF Championship versus The Rock versus The Big Show versus Mick Foley. And I don't know, I thought there was way better matches than this during this WrestleMania. Like, I really enjoyed the hardcore 24/7 match that they did. I also really liked the TLC match, obviously. I think everybody's favorite match from that Mania has got to be the TLC. I'm going to go with all right. There's just nothing special about this main event here for WrestleMania. Wasn't really a big fan of the whole, like, McMahon's picking somebody. I don't know. Like, I thought that, like, they could have definitely had, like, Triple H versus Stone Cold. Or, no. Oh, yeah, because Stone Cold was out during this time. Like, they should have had friggin' Triple H versus The Rock. That should have been the main event for WrestleMania 16, in my opinion. But now, let's get into easily a legendary match. WrestleMania 17, one of the best WrestleManias of all time, according to wrestling fans. The Rock versus Stone Cold, and this is where Stone Cold turned heel and aligned himself with Vince McMahon. And this match right here, oh my God. Legendary match, hands down. I thought that this was the best Rock versus Stone Cold match that they had. And especially with Austin turning heel, nobody expected it. Two larger than life superstars going against each other on the biggest stage of them all. My God, great match overall. But now let's get into WrestleMania 18. For the Undisputed Championship, Chris Jericho defends the title against Triple H. And yeah, everybody knows the main event should have been Rock versus Hogan because it was that once in a lifetime match that we got. And because of that, like, I do have to knock this match down a little bit because unfortunately, whatever Chris Jericho, whatever Triple H did during this time, like, the fans weren't as invested because they got to see Hulk Hogan back in the WWE ring going against The Rock, who was the biggest superstar during this time. So because of that, with Jericho and Triple H having to go against, like, some very big matches during this time, I'm going to have to go with solid here. But I'm going to put them right in the front because, like, the match was very good. But I don't know. I thought Jericho and Triple H, they did have better matches in the past. Like, I personally enjoyed the Hell in the Cell match that they had a couple months later because I did enjoy their work together in the ring. But I thought they had better matches than they did WrestleMania 18. Moving on to the main event of WrestleMania 19 for the Undisputed Championship, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. This was an iconic match. Great match from start to finish. Really enjoyed this one. This is where Brock Lesnar actually almost broke his neck here. But man, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, I don't care. This is going legendary easily. Legendary match. These were two of the best wrestlers that were going against each other on the biggest stage of them all. Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle always gave it their all, especially when they went against each other in all the classics back in the day with the SmackDown pay-per-views, SmackDown shows. They always just had such great chemistry putting on classics, and WrestleMania 19 was that. Even though they did have Rock versus Stone Cold for the last time, I don't know, I thought that this was such a legendary match, and I thought it really, like, took Brock Lesnar to the next level. And Kurt Angle is putting on some of the best work during his run in 03. Moving on now to WrestleMania 20, triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. We had Triple H defending the title against Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit. And this is a match that obviously a lot of people don't talk about as much because of the tragedy that happened to Chris's son, Daniel, and his wife, Nancy. God bless them because of that whole incident in 07 with the murder. People don't really talk about this main event, but if you go back and you watch this, start to finish, this was, my God, legendary match. And me personally, I have to put it over to Brett and the Shawn Iron Man match. This to me was one of the greatest triple threat matches I ever witnessed. And like I vividly remember that moment at the end of the show with Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero hugging in the ring because these were two guys that came up together in pro wrestling and they were supposed to be cruiserweights throughout their career, mid-card guys at best, and they finally made it to the top of the mountain. They were always the workhorses, and like all their hard work finally paid off at WrestleMania 20 because Eddie Guerrero defeated Kurt Angle to retain his championship, and Chris Benoit finally wins the World Heavyweight Championship against Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who were big deals in 04. So like the moment was there. The triple threat match absolutely delivered, and that's a match I can go back and rewatch 1,000 times, and I will not get sick of it. Moving on now to WrestleMania 21 for the World Heavyweight Championship, Batista versus Triple H. Another easy, legendary match here. Like, look at that. 3 WrestleManias in a row. Legendary tier. Like, there's no arguing here with this. I think the match with Triple H and Batista, it was perfect. WrestleMania, you need your larger-than-life superstars. Batista was on the rise. John Cena was on the rise. And this was the night that created 2 of the biggest baby faces in the Ruthless Aggression era. And you had these really long dictator title runs by Triple H and JBL, and they finally ended it at WrestleMania 21. And Batista and Triple H, they had the history behind the storyline because of Evolution. Triple H brought Batista into the WWE and taught him all the ropes, taught him all the tricks, and then he wins the Royal Rumble in 2005. And then eventually, Batista powerbombs Triple H through the contract table and picks him to go for the belt and actually wins it. And it was just a very legendary moment because that is where Batista became a larger-than-life superstar, was at that WrestleMania. And you're putting the best of the best against each other. And I think around that time, they were the best of the best. As much as I would like, even if John Cena and JBL were the main event of that WrestleMania, that would easily be legendary as well because both of those matches over-delivered. But now let's get into WrestleMania 22. We had Triple H versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. And this match I thought could have been a lot better. Wasn't one of my favorite matches, and I'm a huge John Cena fan. In this one, I'm going to go with all right. I don't know. I thought that the match could have been a lot better. I loved John Cena's entrance during this time with like the whole mobs and stuff. Like this is where Cena was starting to do those special entrances that I always enjoyed. Triple H coming out, the King of Kings was sick. Like the presentation and all that were there. But I don't know. I just personally, there's better WrestleMania main events than that. Moving on now to our next main event here, WrestleMania 23, 2 of my favorite wrestlers of all time, John Cena versus Shawn Michaels for the WWE Championship. And this was a match that I loved. This was such a great match in my opinion. And I'm going to go very good here because I think if this was Shawn Michaels, like maybe a couple, like this was Shawn Michaels in 96, man, versus John Cena around this time. Oh, legendary, easily. And I do think that this did add some more credibility to John Cena's title run by having him go against Shawn Michaels, which I believe that was the backup plan because originally it was supposed to be Triple H versus John Cena again, but then Triple H had that injury at New Year's Revolution, so he was out of action for 23. But I thought Shawn and John Cena, they delivered and they had a great match during this time. But man, I do have to give them I think I got to give him an A tier. Very close to being legendary, though. Moving on now to the next match we have here on the card, WrestleMania 24, Edge versus The Undertaker. And this was another fantastic match. And this one, I think I'm going to have to go with legendary or very good. I think I'm going to go very good here. The match delivered on all levels. Oh, but no, I can't, man, because it was unpredictable during that time, dude. It's going legendary because Edge, Undertaker, they always put on such great matches. And at the time, Edge was also undefeated with WrestleMania. He never lost, just like The Undertaker. And at the time, it was so like believable that Edge could be the one to actually beat Undertaker and end the streak, which obviously didn't happen, but there was actually plans of that happening until Edge actually told Vince that he doesn't want to be the one to end the streak, and it's already an honor being in the main event of WrestleMania going against the Phenom. And I think Edge definitely made the right call there, and it was just such a great main event. I thought that it definitely over-delivered, even though they, I think, have had better matches than their WrestleMania one. I have to put that as legendary because it doesn't get bigger than that at WrestleMania 24. Moving on now to WrestleMania 25, we had Randy Orton versus Triple H. Another great storyline here. Two guys, one friggin' Randy Orton, man, was a part of Evolution, so there's a lot of history there between him and Triple H. The storyline was fantastic, and the match was great, but I'm going to have to go with very good here because I think that Randy and Triple H have had better matches during their time, but the storyline was fantastic, and I thought that this definitely deserved the main event spot for 25. But man, that's the also another reason why I can't put it in legendary tier, because that match with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at 25, that was probably the best match of the night. So when I'm putting these like in like legendary tier, like that has to be the best match of the night when it's all said and done. Because if you're main eventing WrestleMania, you want to put on the best match possible because you are the last one on the card. So I do have to go with very good because, man, like legendary, that Shawn versus Undertaker match, that was legendary. 25 was so good. But now let's get into our main event for WrestleMania 26. And it was Streak versus Career, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And this one here, just like 25, easy, legendary match here. We're going to put this in the legendary tier. No better way of going out than facing The Undertaker. I really enjoyed this match, and I was very sad, man, when Shawn Michaels lost. But these two, every time, they always put on a 5-star classic. And even though their 25 match was a little better than 26, I still really enjoyed it. And I thought it was the best match on the card easily that year. But now let's get into WrestleMania 27. John Cena versus The Miz for the WWE Championship. And I loved heel Miz during this time. I thought they did a great job establishing him as a top heel. I really enjoyed this run for him. And this obviously set things up with John Cena and The Rock, which would be the next two main events for 28 and 29. But I thought that this match with John Cena and The Miz was very good. I, for one, actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people probably didn't. So for that, I'm going to have to give this one, I'm going to go with the top. I'm going to go with solid. Like, it's going right in the front for solid. I really enjoyed Miz versus Cena, and I thought that Cena made Miz look really good here. But obviously, like afterwards, they had Cena beat him at Extreme Rules, which was unfortunate. Because I thought Miz's title run, like, it should have went on a little longer because he was such a great natural heel at this time. But moving on now to WrestleMania 28, once in a lifetime, John Cena versus The Rock. This had the build up. This was this was a whole year worth the build. But I always have to say, like, if you're main eventing WrestleMania, you have to have one of the best matches of the card of the night. And because of that, like the build, like these two larger than life superstars, legendary. But the match itself, I thought that CM Punk and Chris Jericho should have main evented that WrestleMania because they also had a great storyline for that WWE Championship. And CM Punk was like at the top during this time. So for this here, I am going to have to go with solid. I think that this was a solid like build up. I really enjoyed the storyline and everything leading up to it, which does sway me a little bit when it comes to my grade. I just thought that the whole year build, they did such a good job, even with The Rock's very busy schedule, having him do like the Boston Harbor thing, John Cena coming back as Thugonomics, and then The Rock doing the whole concert thing. I thought it was fantastic. Like everything leading up to it, it felt like a once in a lifetime match. But now let's get into WrestleMania 29, which was for the WWE Championship. The Rock defending the title against John Cena. And this one did not have that same feel that we got for WrestleMania 28. And because of that, I'm just going to go with all right here. Like, there were so many better matches on this card. And like, they advertised this as once in a lifetime. So because of that, like, you already like disinterested me by having them go against each other again when you build WrestleMania 28 up as this once in a lifetime match. I don't think that they needed to go against each other back to back. I know it was for Cena to redeem himself, but I don't know. I felt like, come on, like they could have definitely came up with something better here. Like, I would have loved to see, like, The Rock work with somebody else and John Cena possibly to work with somebody else. But it was kind of cool, though, to see, like, The Rock and John Cena, who had real animosity towards one another, kind of just bury the beef after this. Like, this whole storyline between the two actually brought them closer together. And, like, that's also a really cool moment. Because I know there's a lot of wrestlers in this very tough business that, never are able to bury the hatchet. So the fact that John Cena and The Rock were able to do that and they entertained us, the fans, like, I'm happy for them, but I don't know. They didn't have to have two WrestleMania main events. But now let's get into WrestleMania 30. We had a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We had Randy Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan. And this was also another very legendary, iconic moment here because originally it was only supposed to be Batista versus Randy, but all the WWE Universe wanted Daniel Bryan because of the Yes movement. And man, we got such a special moment during this Mania. I thought the match was pretty solid here, but I do think because of the defining moment, because this is what represents WrestleMania, is these defining moments. This is where Daniel Bryan became a larger than life superstar. I'm going to have to go with very good. I think I'm going to have to go with very good here because this did create Daniel Bryan into a next big superstar. And it's unfortunate that injuries got up to him during this time. And I think it was a couple more weeks, and then he had to relinquish the championship, which absolutely blows. But now let's get into WrestleMania 31. The main event for this was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the first time. And this is where Seth Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank. And to me, like, this match with Roman and Brock, I did not give a shit. I just wanted Brock Lesnar to suplex the shit out of Roman because I couldn't stand Big Dog at this time. But Seth Rollins cashing in, man, really saved this. And for that, I'm going to have to go solid because without Seth Rollins, this could be real bad. Seth Rollins winning his first WWE Championship, that is what made this match go to solid. Rollins making it a triple threat, easily saved it from like total humiliation. But now let's get into WrestleMania 32. And it was for the WWE Championship, Triple H versus Roman Reigns. And I just didn't care for Roman at this time. I really didn't. I'm not going to put real bad, but I'm definitely going to put him right at the bottom here at all right, because I just really didn't care for Roman at this time. And I know WWE was trying to do whatever they could to shove him in our face. And for that, I just did not care. And I know that there was better matches on that card than Roman versus Triple H. And I know they're all doing it because they were trying to recreate the Austin McMahon thing because Triple H was the head of the authority and Roman Reigns was going against them. So I don't know. Man, they should have done Seth Rollins versus Roman, but I think Rollins was injured at the time. Could be wrong. But getting now into WrestleMania 33, we had the main event, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, and we hear it on documentaries all the time. Even Undertaker said it himself. The match was real bad. And yeah, this was definitely not a good match at all. I hated Roman at the time, did not care for him. Undertaker, unfortunately, was just dealing with injury after injury after injury. And this was definitely not the best performance that the two had. And it's unfortunate. I know Undertaker, it's one of his biggest regrets in his career. He wished that he gave Roman that opportunity. And I just remember like the night after, Roman just getting booed out of the arena. And he was saying, "This is my yard." Da, da, da. Like, I just did not care for it at the time. Like, my interest for WWE was like going down because of Roman. And speaking of Roman versus Brock, I'm not even gonna go full screen here. I don't even care. I don't really care for Brock versus Roman at all because this was like, what, the 100th time that these two went against each other. When we get to their later WrestleMania match, then maybe it'll go up a little bit. But I do think that their best match that they ever had against each other was SummerSlam when Brock Lesnar had the tractor. I love that match for them. But all the other ones, I just really didn't give a fuck about. And I do love Brock Lesnar, but at this time, I despised Roman Reigns. So I just didn't enjoy it. I was not a fan. Now getting into WrestleMania 35. This was the first time ever that we had women wrestlers main eventing a WrestleMania triple threat match. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. And I will say the storyline was here. And this, to me, definitely deserved the main event spot. Because when it's all said and done, like, I thought that the WWE women at this time were carrying the WWE. Like, I thought that the women were performing so much better than the men. And I do think that this main event was all right, but I am going to have to go solid here because at the end of the day, the storyline was there, and this was Becky Lynch's WrestleMania moment. Becky's 2 belts. Like, I really enjoyed that. And for the first time ever main eventing a WrestleMania, I thought all 3 girls brought their A game. And I'm not the biggest Ronda or Charlotte fan, but I thought that this was definitely one of their better matches and storylines leading up to an event. So now let's get into WrestleMania 36. This was in the Thunderdome due to the pandemic, and there was 2 nights. This is the first time we had 2 nights for WrestleMania. So starting things off here, we have Undertaker versus AJ Styles in the Boneyard match. And me personally, this cinematic match, I freaking loved it. I enjoyed the Boneyard match, and I thought that this was the best way to pretty much put over The Undertaker and to end one hell of a career. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to perform in front of a crowd because I do think Undertaker at this time like was actually healthy and ready to go. And if there's anybody that was going to get the best out of Undertaker, it's definitely AJ Styles. But I do think that that Boneyard match, they did such a fantastic job. And honestly, I'm going to put very good here because like I'm not the biggest fan of the cinematic matches, but they definitely delivered. And I got a lot of hate when I said this during the time, but like Bray Wyatt and John Cena, the Firefly Funhouse match, I didn't enjoy it. And I actually got kicked out of a Facebook group because I expressed my opinion on not enjoying it. Even though I love Bray Wyatt, I love John Cena, I just didn't understand the whole cinematic match behind it. But the Boneyard match, they did such a great job, in my opinion. I really enjoyed that. But now getting into night 2, we had Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, and I'm so mad that this match here didn't happen in front of the live crowd because Drew McIntyre deserved to have that WrestleMania moment because I just remember that Royal Rumble, which was one of my more favorite Rumbles, when Drew McIntyre hit that Claymore to Brock Lesnar and the crowd erupted. And this is not Drew McIntyre or Brock Lesnar's fault here. The match was very rushed. You could tell Brock Lesnar didn't want to be there. And because of that, I'm going to have to go all right. And the only reason I'm going all right, because Drew McIntyre, this was his moment. And I do think that if it wasn't for the pandemic, the Thunderdome, I think this Brock and Drew McIntyre match could have been very good, in my opinion. Like, I really do think that Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar, if you gave them the solid time to main event of WrestleMania in front of a live stadium, dude, this match, it could have been very good. Easily. But now let's get into WrestleMania 37. And night one main event was for the SmackDown Women's World Championship. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. And yeah, this match right here, I freaking love this match. I absolutely enjoyed it from the start, from the finish. And for that, I'm going to have to go very good here. And the reason I'm not going to put it at legendary is because at the time, Bianca Belair wasn't where she is now as a larger-than-life superstar. And Sasha Banks, she was kind of on her way out of WWE at this time. But the two put on such a classic. And I think that if they were actually pushing Sasha Banks at the time and Bianca, yeah, this could have definitely been a legendary match. But they really did perform, and they definitely showed up. I really enjoyed their main event. But now getting into night two, we had a triple threat match for the undisputed, or I believe it was the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defending the title against Edge versus Daniel Bryan. And I thought that this was a solid triple threat match. I don't think that the match wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. And I believe that Edge and Daniel Bryan at this time, they were on their way out. And Roman did look very strong here. So I'm honestly going to go with solid. I think that this match was solid when it's all said and done. Like, Roman Reigns definitely looked great in this match. And I do think that they all delivered. But I don't know. Like, I felt like we should have gotten Drew versus Roman at this WrestleMania, but that's just me. So now let's get into WrestleMania 38. Night one main event, Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And like, as a fan, as a Stone Cold fan, I freaking enjoyed this because this was the first time I think Stone Cold stepped foot inside a wrestling ring since 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, I think it was 2002. And I thought that Kevin Owens did a great job here. And I did enjoy the storyline a little bit. It could have been better, obviously, because they wanted to wait last minute to get that pop. But I thought the whole KO show thing was great, and then Stone Cold coming out. They did put on a very solid match here, but I'm gonna have to go with solid, honestly. It was definitely solid. Hulk Hogan and Kevin Owens, they definitely showed up, and it was a fun match. Like, obviously, like, there was probably bigger storyline. Well, not really, because it was hard to watch WWE during this time, to be honest with you. But Kevin Owens and Stone Cold, it was a very cool moment, which is why I have to go with solid, because Stone Cold did actually deliver and show up. So moving on now to our next match here, night two of WrestleMania 38. We have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. And like I said, my favorite match for theirs was SummerSlam, but I do think that this was better than their main event that they had at 31 and I believe 34. So because of that, I'm going to have to go with all right. And I think I'm going to put this one right there in the front here. I don't know. I just thought that, like, they had other better matches here. But Brock and Roman, definitely at the time, it felt right. There's nobody bigger than Roman, nobody bigger than Brock. So for that, I'm going to go all right. But now let's get into WrestleMania 39. Night one for the tag team championships. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And man, the storyline was there. And this was like a huge match during its time. And because of that, I'm going to have to go very good. This match is very good. I think getting to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have that WrestleMania moment together, because they both came up in the business, holding the titles, finally beating the Usos. I thought that that was just a beautiful moment, and the storyline was there. I thought the Usos, Sami, and Kevin deserved that main event spot. Nobody else did, and they really showed up and they really delivered and put on one of the greatest tag team matches in WrestleMania history, in my opinion. And I thought they definitely deserved it. Even though Sami and Kevin Owens, their tag title run was a little lackluster after that, them getting built up as the underdogs here, it was great. It was beautiful ending to night one. And that leads us to night two of WrestleMania 39. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the championship. And Cody Rhodes didn't finish the story here. And it did shock a lot of people. At first, I was so pissed off about it, but their match was so good. And for that, I'm going legendary. Because, man, everybody thought Cody Rhodes was finally going to finish the story. He was going to win the championship. And the storyline was there. There's Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. They were the two biggest superstars at that time. And I think they deserved that WrestleMania spot. And I thought they put on a classic. They put on a classic, in my opinion. So now getting into WrestleMania 40, we had a tag match, night one, the final boss, The Rock, and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And I thought that this was a great match. I think The Rock looked really good here. And it was cool to see The Rock finally get the pinfall on Cody, even though it didn't lead to anything special. But this main event was very good, in my opinion. So I am going to have to put that there because me personally, I really enjoyed it, especially the storyline leading up to it with the whole press conference and everything that was happening at the time. Like, I think, dude, they showed up here, all four guys, and I think they all definitely deserved it, in my opinion. Even though I didn't like that Seth Rollins was doing this and feuding with Drew McIntyre because it made Drew McIntyre's match feel less important. But when it comes to, like, what was important at the time, it was Roman Reigns and the final boss. And I think they did a great job here. But now let's get into our last match, night two of WrestleMania 40. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes finishes the story, and my God, this was better than their match at 39, and I'm going to have to go with legendary tier here. Can't put them in front of The Rock and Stone Cold, though, but this right here really created their next superstar in Cody Rhodes, the face of the WWE here. And I think that these two, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, they really have such great chemistry. And the storyline was there. Roman Reigns beating him at 39 actually was a good move because it led to a bigger moment, which happened at WrestleMania 40. But both of those matches, in my opinion, 39 and 40 for Cody and Roman, legendary matches. And I think that these are matches that, honestly, because it's only been a year since we've had this, but I think going back 10, 15, 20 years from now, people are going to be looking back at that Roman versus Cody matches, and they're going to believe that they were some of the best WrestleMania main events of all time. And I know that's a crazy statement, but guys, that is it for every WrestleMania match ranked. Let me know in the comment section below your favorite WrestleMania main event of all time, because there are so many of them, 40 years. And honestly, I can't wait to see the main events for WrestleMania 41, Cena and Cody, and then obviously CM Punk versus Roman versus Seth, which I feel like is going to be a legendary main event. But if you guys enjoyed this and you guys want more tier list videos, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are WrestleManiac yet already, recommend you guys to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. We have new videos coming out every day this week for WrestleMania, and we'll be doing our WrestleMania 41 predictions this Wednesday live on the We Are Wrestling podcast, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be doing back-to-back live watch-alongs for both nights of WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday, the 19th and the 20th. So if you are looking for somebody to watch Mania with, we'll be doing a live stream here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. But the link's down in the description box below. You can go follow me over at my social medias, and you can check out my other toy channel, Best One Donnie, where I'm doing toy hunts, I'm doing toy reviews, unboxings, all that fun stuff over there. So if you want to check that out, the link down in the description below. Tomorrow, I will be doing Monday Night Raw reactions for you guys for Mania Week. So, with that being said, we are taking over. Peace.